I think the experience of observing chimpanzees and learning about their incredibly fascinating society and their personalities and the way their minds work does help us to understand a lot about human nature. If we grant that millions and millions of years ago there was a common ancestor from which chimpanzees diverged one way and human beings the other, we know there's this very close relationship genetically in the composition of the blood and the immune response. We know that the chimp brain is more like ours than that of any other living creature. But the studies of chimpanzees show these amazing similarities in behavior. So we get non-verbal communication, kissing, embracing, holding hands, patting on the back, swaggering. We find chimpanzees are capable of extreme brutality that had gone during a whole 4-year period. We had what I call the 4-year war, when the males of a larger community systematically annihilated a smaller neighboring community. And we see the males going on these patrols where they're clearly searching for sight or sound of their neighbors. And if they see one, they chase and subject him or her to a really brutal, savage attack, much worse than anything you see between members of the same community. And so they are capable of this brutality, but they're also capable of love, compassion, empathy. And we have so many stories, typically between family members, but not always, which give very vivid examples. And I think what we can learn from this is that while it's almost certainly true that we have inherited an aggressive component to our natures from our ancient primate heritage, but so too have we inherited love, compassion, and altruism. And I think we, more than any other creature, can control our genetic heritage. We're capable with the brains that we have, and the fact that we now more or less rely on culture to change our aggressive tendencies. We have a choice. Which way do we want to go? We're not very good at the answer. But I think we can. I mean, most people actually control the way they feel. We don't go around treating people the way we sometimes might want to. Or else it would be total anarchy. We do control our feelings. We don't hit people. We sometimes lash out with words, which is unfortunate. But I think, whereas some scientists have actually criticized me for publishing the chimpanzee aggression and said that will just give grist to the mill of those anthropologists who say, well, aggression is innate in human nature and therefore war and violence are inevitable. And, you know, I think we have a choice. And somehow, we have to learn to push for the affectionate, loving side at the expense of the aggressive, greedy, and selfish side, and we're not doing very well at it. But we can. We have hundreds of examples of people who live very wonderful lives. It's what gives me hope as I travel around, the amazing people I meet, the inspirational people I meet. I think one of the questions I get asked most often is, you know, Jane, you give lectures called Reason for Hope, you've written a book called Reason for Hope, do you really have hope? And I travel around the world 300 days a year, and I kept meeting young people who had lost hope, who become depressed, who become, well, it doesn't matter what I do because nothing's going to work. You've compromised my future. And I met young people where this turned into anger and bitterness, which led to violence, and we're all very familiar with that. And we have compromised their future. I look into the eyes of my grandchildren, my little great-nephews, and I think what the world was like when I was that age and how much we've destroyed since, and I feel such deep shame. So Roots and Shoots, it's a symbolic name. Roots make a firm foundation. Shoots seem tiny, but to reach the sun, they can break through a brick wall. And if we see the brick wall as all the problems that we've inflicted on this poor old planet, environmental and social, then it's a message of hope. Hundreds and thousands of young people around the world can break through and make it better. And the main message is the importance of every individual, that you, by the way you act each day, you do make a difference. And together you make a huge difference. I think the most important message for everybody is that every single day we live, we do affect the future of this planet. And it seems impossible to think, because I'm one person and there are 6 billion plus people on this planet, so even if I know what I should do and shouldn't do in respect to the environment, it couldn't possibly make any difference because I'm just one person. But you know, one of the benefits of the modern information age, the spreading of information electronically, is that so many millions of people do know these things. And if everybody lived as they should live, it would make the most enormous difference to the problems facing this planet. The global warming, the hole in the ozone layer, you know, all these things indirectly are affected by what we do, the choices we make each day, what we wear, what we eat, how we get to where we're going.